Well, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. It is about 7:45 here on Tuesday night, and it is a cold night. We've already fallen down into the mid to lower teens across the region, and unfortunately, it's going to get very colder. Stay tuned later in this video. I'll be talking about the potential below zero temperatures we're going to be facing as well, and it looks like it's going to get just brutally cold. Here's what we had to face this morning, though. We had really a system that overachieved on the southeast portion of the state, just as I forecast. I forecasted basically 1 to 3 in this area and a dusting to 2 in this area. Did pretty good for those of us down here, but you know, the system overachieved and gave 3, 4, 5, and 6 inch totals for parts of us up here. So a little bit more powerful of a system, but you hit the jackpot with some snow if you were up in here, and you got screwed for any decent snow down here. But that's just the way things go, unfortunately. And it looks like we do have some more accumulating snow here in the forecast. We're sitting in the upper teens now. Notice we've got some systems that's going to be moving down over us. Just flurries over the next couple of days with this, though. All right, tonight's video forecast update is being sponsored once again by High Voltage Mobile DJ Services. You can give Nathan a call at 630-9465. Visit him on the web at djhighvoltage.com and tell him Southern Indiana Weather sent you. All right. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so let me get into the actual data. And boy, as I kept saying, this is going to be a cold forecast, and I think it's also going to be a very snow forecast. By the way, today was the 19th day this winter that we have seen some form of snow fall from the sky, whether it be accumulating snow or whether it be just flurries. And it certainly looks like we're going to add to that total. I see 6 more chances beyond just the flurries the next couple of days at accumulating snow. 6 more chances of that accumulating snow in the extended outlook over the next couple of weeks. And let's dive into that data and just show you. Now again, as we go through this, remember absolutely nothing is set in stone. So we're not going to talk about this as if it's going to happen, but I do want to show you what could happen and just show you that we're going to be entering into a very active period. All right. Tomorrow on Wednesday, we have a cold front that moves through, brings us another reinforcing shot of cold air as if we really need it. Then Arctic high pressure, and this is a really strong Arctic high, by the way, 1044 millibars. That's ridiculously high. That's going to turn our winds more out of the northwest. That's really going to cool us down. But then you notice another disturbance moves in here by Saturday morning. Here's 1 a.m. on Saturday morning. You got a cold front moving through like this. And right now the GFS is indicating this to be very light precipitation, and the first shades of gray that you see here are very light, maybe up to, well, you don't get 1/10 of an inch until you get to the first green shade. You're in some of the darker gray shades here, so that indicates maybe 0.08 of an inch of precipitation. So, you know, you're talking, if this were a standard 10-to-1 ratio snow, you could be looking at almost an inch worth of snow here, but snow ratios are going to be pretty high with this type of a system, though, because if we just take a look at temperatures of what to expect Saturday, we're going to be in the mid-20s. And if you go, you know, 5,000 feet into the atmosphere up at the 850 millibar level where the snow actually forms, you know, you're going to be well below zero most likely up there. So this is going to be bitterly cold temperatures. That's higher snow ratios. The same way for Sunday. It's actually going to be colder on Sunday when it snows on Sunday as well. So rather than 10-to-1 snow ratios, I think we're going to be looking at more like 15-to-1 or maybe even up to 20-to-1 ratios. So these snow maps that you see on this, the snow accumulation maps are generally based on a 10-to-1, so if we look at any of those, we have to double it. But rather than do that, basically what I'll show you here is just kind of tell you the values tonight. If we're looking at basically almost 1/10 of an inch for this, that's at a 20-to-1 ratio going to be about 2 inches of snow potentially on Saturday as a rough estimate at this point. So definitely some potential accumulations there. All right, then as you move through the day on Saturday, that clears out, but you notice your next system starts to dive down from the south, and by Sunday afternoon, notice that you've got really the greens moving up during this period, greens moving in this period. That's at least 0.4 of an inch of QPF. QPF is the liquid, what we say, quantity of precipitation forecast, if you want the nerdy term here. But basically, that's just the liquid amount that would fall. You got to convert that to a snow, and at a 20-to-1 ratio, you're looking at a good 6 to 8 inches of snow if this verifies. Now, again, that's if this verifies. The track of this low that dives down is going to mean everything. In fact, this was the run that was this morning. I like to use the 0Z and the 12Z runs if you've heard of those before. Basically, it's the model runs that are initialized at 7 p.m. at night and 7 a.m. in the morning, rather than the runs that are initialized at 1 a.m. and 1 p.m., because the ones on the 7s take a lot more data points in and have more data inputted into them. A model is only good as the quality of the data that you've got entered into it. More data, better off. So really the 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. runs, I think, are usually handle the situation a lot better than those 6 and 18Z runs, we call them, but basically the ones that are initialized at 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. We call them the off-hour runs because of that. But let me just show you that off-hour run from today. What we're looking at is this morning's 12Z run. I think, again, these are more reliable, but take a look at this. In the lowest positioned a little bit more north, that pushes the heavier accumulating snow on Sunday more to the north. So, again, the positioning is going to be everything on this, and this is not set in stone yet. We're still 4 and 5 days away from these events, but put it on your radar screen right now that we do have the potential as we get into that extended period for a little bit of accumulating snow, and we'll just mention that. And it looks like it could be a pretty decent amount of snow. This definitely could be a 6 to 8 inch snowstorm or more for some people. And again, the run of it, the run this afternoon did the same thing. It just took it a little bit more north. So we'll see. These are going to go back and forth, all right? Then as we go through, remember this is 2. I told you we've got 6 chances. This is 2. Now what you don't see here on Monday, you see it start to kind of peter out here a little bit. You got some snow showers that start to dive down here, but then they're virtually gone over us on Monday. If we were to switch over to the Euro model on Monday, and I'll just kind of go back here a little bit real quick, and I'll show you that here on Monday, it's actually a lot more aggressive with the snow on Monday. So the Euro, not only does it give us the snow chances on Sunday, and by the way, the snow chances on Sunday are not as impressive, as you can see, as what they are on the GFS. So again, that's why we always take these models with a grain of salt. We look for model agreement on these things, but the model agreement is there in the sense that we do see snow. It's just off on the matter of not only how much snow, but the timing and positioning on things. And this far out, that's to be expected. The Euro brings us a little bit of accumulating snow on Sunday as well, all right? As we continue on forward with it then, so that's your 3 you got this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday with snow. As we advance this thing forward into time, here's your next one on Thursday, January the 30th, to end the year, to end the month, I should say. I'm moving things a little fast here. You've got a potentially just a big-time snowstorm moving in with this one. Again, this, by the time you get this far out, you're almost into voodoo territory with the models. So you take it with a grain of salt 4 and 5 days out. You have to take a large grain of salt this far out, folks. But again, the idea is the pattern here is a very active pattern, a very cold pattern, and a very snowy pattern. And I want to show you this because, we could be looking at another 6 to 8 inch event if this verifies. What about the Euro model? This is another thing I want to draw your attention to. Let me just advance this in time. And what I want to show you is you see the exact same thing with it. Again, maybe not as much. The GFS takes it and places it and streams the heavy precipitation all over this area as well. The Euro is not as aggressive to the north, but around here still gives us a pretty heavy accumulating snow. So that's certainly something that we want to take note of, all right? That's Thursday the 30th. By the time the 31st comes, we clear out just a little bit, but we stay bitterly cold. This goes back and forth, and then by the time we go through this, you notice we have here on Saturday the 1st of February, yet another potential snowstorm to be dealing with. And then if we go into the really extended period beyond that, I want you to notice the models actually try to warm us up above freezing for the first part of February, here a little bit with February the 6th, but then this becomes this would become a rain changing over to snow. And it could be potentially heavy rain for southern Kentucky, light rain, cold rain for us, changing over to potentially a heavy snow on the backside of the system as well. So all that to say, what we're about to enter into is an extremely active weather pattern with 6 potentially accumulating snows coming over really the next 2 weeks. So is this set in stone? Absolutely not, and this will change, I guarantee you, over time because models do that sort of thing. But just understand we're heading into that very active pattern. If you're a snow lover, you want this, okay? If you're a snow hater, I'm sorry, this is not your pattern because this pattern is very favorable for snow development, okay? So here we are. Let's go ahead and take a look at temperatures as to what we can expect as well. And then we'll take a look at my forecast as well. Just a very cold and bitter temperatures will start out for us here tomorrow morning, and you can see the GFS actually takes us into the teens. I take us a little bit lower than that, but we'll move on here through time. And well, let me just go ahead and play the loop here. And what I want you to notice is we stay just absolutely bitterly cold until next week. All of a sudden, we've got some snowpack on the ground, and then boom, look what starts to happen. You start to see some below zero temperatures start to spill in a little bit, all right? And so here by the time we come to Tuesday morning, January the 28th, the below zeros start into the area. It's not just an isolated pocket in northern Indiana. The GFS wants to take us to the zero here in Evansville, -4 in Huntingburg, -9 in Bloomington, -10 in Columbus, even 4 below here in Louisville. So you get the idea. It's just some very bitter cold temperatures are coming. And unfortunately, it looks like it's going to stay a while, because if I just advance this in time, here we take a look at Wednesday morning, and it's even colder. It's down to -7, the colder of the 2 days. And if we go beyond that, it looks like we get a little bit of a break between below zero days, back to single digits and maybe very low teens, before we hit Sunday, February the 2nd. And we go 8 below this time, according to the GFS. And then beyond that, the next day on Monday, we're gone down, moderated back to about 0, but the negative are still here in the area. And then one back beyond that, yes, even on Tuesday, February the 4th, yeah, we've moderated back to, well, it actually has us into the mid-teens here in Evansville with some single digits here, so very sharp cutoff, but below zero temperatures certainly in play here in the state. So we are talking just some very bitterly cold temperatures coming. And unfortunately, with those bitterly cold temperatures are going to come wind problems. What we're looking at here are the potential wind speeds over the next little bit. And really what I want you to see here is the blues are in anywhere from the 10 to 15 mile per hour range, and then the greens start the 20 mile per hour range. All right, let me just put this into motion, and this is this week. What I want you to notice is it's going to be a pretty windy week for the most part. All right, and that's not going to bode well for us at all. And yeah, we get it dying down at night sometimes, but for the most part we end up with that. And why is this not going to bode for us well at all? Let's talk about the wind chill. Let's just start out by tomorrow morning with the wind chill obviously in the single digits. Let me just hit the play button here and notice how quickly we spill even this week below zero in the wind chills. Not in the actual temperature, but in the real field temperature department, certainly below zero. So we're talking just some bitter cold temperatures. Hey, we moderate back up to the teens maybe by Saturday. That'll be nice as the wind dies down a little bit, but then boom, below zero again for these wind chills. So just absolutely barbaric and brutally cold temperatures are on the way for us. All right, folks, go to southernindianaweather.com and you can get my updated 7-day forecast. And it looks like, as I said, it's just a brutally cold temperatures, all right? I'm forecasting a high of 27 tomorrow. Overnight low of 5 tomorrow night. Again, scattered flurries on both Wednesday and Thursday. But look at this. I'm only forecasting a high of 15 degrees on Thursday. This is stinking cold. Flirting with below zero temperatures here. I wouldn't be surprised with below zero temperatures on Thursday to be happening in places like Bloomington, Martinsville, and points to the north, with us in the southern part of the state getting down to 1 above. Ridiculously cold. And these wind chill digits in the single digits below zero, we're getting into some dangerously cold wind chills. It doesn't get much better. 23 on Friday. Up to 30 on Saturday, but again, snow likely. We got a chance for snow accumulation both on Saturday and Sunday, and then that's whenever the bitter cold temperatures come in, and absolutely dangerous wind chills are expected, as I'm forecasting negative temperatures on by the time next Tuesday, a week from today, comes along, we're going to be looking at a high of only 9 degrees down to -5 next Tuesday night. Folks, I've even put it brutally cold in here because I don't know of a better word to describe this. So start preparing for it now, folks. Unfortunately, this cold weather is coming, and it looks like January is going to go out with a bang when it comes to this brutally cold weather. So now is the time, folks, to be starting preparing your house for these brutally cold temperatures. Start insulating your pipes and just making your good winter preparations again, because it's coming. I'll have more updates on this as time goes by. You can always get your 7-day forecast here, and of course we'll be doing more videos. For Southern Indiana Weather, I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite. Have a good night, folks, and stay safe. Take care.